The questions I'm going to be presenting today were actually populated directly from various sources, such as our online survey and Twitter from pre-pharmacy students across the nation. If you'd like a question to be asked or answered, please submit them via Twitter and Facebook using the hashtag UCDPHSA14, and they'll be addressed throughout the conference. Now, without further ado, would our distinguished panelists please take a brief moment to introduce themselves and their respective institutions, starting with Dr. Woosley here to my left.
Thank you. My name is Charles Woosley. I'm with the School of Pharmacy at Auburn University in Auburn, Alabama. We're only 5.5 hours from UC Davis. 4 hours of that is with Delta to Atlanta, and then 1.5 hours to our campus. I am a pharmacist, and before my fellow recruiter tells all you students here from which school I came from Samford University, which is a private pharmacy school in Birmingham, Alabama, and then I got my PharmD from University of Tennessee in Memphis. After that, I have spent most of my career in hospital pharmacy. And can you still hear me now? Because the mic just went away. Hello? There we go. That's better. First about the school. Auburn University is 25,000 students. 5,000 of those are professional graduate students, 20,000 undergraduate students. And obviously the School of Pharmacy is one of the 2, now 3 professional schools located on our campus. The pharmacy school admits 150 students each year. We locate those students on 2 campuses. We have a small campus located on the University of South Alabama in Mobile, Alabama, and we admit 24 students each year to that particular campus, and then 126 students to the Auburn campus, giving us a total of 150. Moving upwards, we interview approximately 200 students a year. That is the last criterion in the admission process. It is an all-day process. We're going to look at you from a holistic standpoint, but that particular day, we're looking at 7 domains of character. It will be filled with multiple interviews ranging from a small group where we're looking at ethical situations and you're graded on those activities, to an interview in the afternoon conducted by 2 people, one of whom is a student pharmacist who's been trained in our interview techniques and who will actually recommend, along with the faculty staff member, to admit or defer, and then have to defend that decision to the admission committee later in the afternoon. When we interview you, and this is something you students, as you go forward, and could talk about this in a workshop this afternoon relative to interviewing, find out about the school's interview practices. We're completely objective, totally blinded, meaning that both interviewers do not know anything relative to GPA, PCAT, or the demographics relative to your application. So when you hear that first question, tell me about yourself, that's exactly what we want to know. The other 3 criteria, as you can imagine, go from, range from what these other schools will share with you as well, and that has to do, with your application. We're very big on job shadowing and our work experience. We're big on what is called organizational responsibility. Everybody cannot be a president of a particular organization, but I tell you can have a significant part in the organizations, and we're looking for leadership relative to that. The third aspect, which we value very highly, is volunteer work. We do not categorize that and tell you which area to do that. Personally, I'd rather see you be passionate about a particular area of volunteer work. Maybe something you've carried over from high school now to college, and you are continuing to do that area of volunteer work. We're also going to be looking at professional references, 2 from science professors, 1 from a pharmacist. Science professors validating your academic capability, pharmacists validating your character. Then we're going to look at your personal essay. Just a word of advice, don't wordsmith it. Tell us why you want to be a pharmacist, genuine, as to your personal reasons, and spell check it, grammar check it, and submit it. Don't spend weeks on end, as I've discussed with several students in the last few weeks, trying to figure out which is the best adjective to describe themselves. And the last 2 criteria, we do require the PCAT. With the PCAT, we're going to look primarily at your biology and your chemistry. We're going to weigh those two sciences more heavily than the other three. And then lastly is your GPA. Our current median is 3.4. We do not gap, we do not waive courses, we do not take the better or the best of courses from which you may have taken more than once. You know, some of us students like courses that we take them twice. I don't know if that's any of you students here, but I've seen a few that filled that category. Those four criteria are evaluated, GPA, PCAT, application, and interview, and we make a holistic admission decision, you know, based upon you. A little bit about our program. It is what we refer to as problem-based, student-centered learning. We feel very good about the clinical portion of our program where we have a 2-year course called DAD, Drugs and Diseases. With DAD, that's exactly what it's going to be. You're going to learn about drugs taught from a disease model, which is not unique. We introduce you students, though, to patient care the second week of school in a small group setting of 15 students, vertically integrated between P3s, P2s, and P1s. This course gives you a patient for which you're responsible for the next year, and you have to manage and maintain and monitor the medication therapy of that patient. We want students to be introduced to problems in patients immediately, you know, in the setting in pharmacy school. So with that in mind, we continue with a small group team-based learning in the 3rd year, and we have a classroom size of only 8, 1 faculty member, and that's where we're actually, again, teaching from a problem-based, student-centered learning, you know, aspect. So I will be available certainly after this session to answer any questions, and I'm in the fair as well. So please come by and see me, and thank you again for letting me come to UC Davis.
Hi there, I'm Carol Jones. I'm the Director of Admissions at Harding University College of Pharmacy in Searcy, Arkansas. Sorry, yes, I do have a Southern accent, but that's just part of it. We're not one plane ride away. We're 2 tiny little plane trips away from UC Davis. Searcy, Arkansas is located just north of Little Rock, Arkansas, if you're familiar with that. If you're not familiar with that, if you know where Arkansas is. If you don't know where that is, there's a good geography class you can probably sign up for here. Harding is a private Christian university. We have just over 6,000 students, and for 21 consecutive years, we've been listed in the top 25 schools in the South by U.S. News and World Report. Each year, we're going to interview about 120 students to fill 60 seats. And so it's a very small class size. We think that's a good thing for our students. When it comes time for a residency and you need a good recommendation letter, your faculty member's going to know you well. And so I think that's a real advantage of a smaller class size. We are, like I said, a faith-based school, and we do offer several opportunities for our students to do international pharmacy practice experiences in Zambia, in Haiti, in Guatemala, Honduras. Go to these places. They'll change your life. I'll tell you more when you have questions, so we'll go to the next person.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcia Parker. I'm the Director of Admissions for the KGI School of Pharmacy, and we are located in Claremont, California, which is about 35 miles east of Los Angeles. It's a really beautiful place to live and work. You actually can see the San Gabriel Mountains right outside of your front door. But then you also have access to the Orange County beaches and the Santa Monica beaches anytime you want as well. So it's a really wonderful place. Our PharmD program is a 4-year program where graduates, all of our graduates are going to earn not only the PharmD, but also a concentration in one of 4 areas. And those concentrations are earned by, you take 12 hours of electives in your 3rd year, and then you have specific rotations devoted to that concentration in both your 3rd and your 4th years. Another part of our program is that our students are going to have a great deal of exposure to the biotech and pharmaceutical industries. So for example, we have an introduction to industry class your very first year where you get to shadow PharmDs in one of those environments, just to, so you can kind of see what that type of environment is like. We really want to expose our students to a wide variety of practice settings. Our science courses are taught in a block format. We also have a clinical skills series where students learn things about communication, interviewing patients, concepts in diversity, etc. We have interprofessional activities with the UC Riverside School of Medicine. And every year for the students' first 3 years, they're going to be going through a professional development series where we talk to you about how to be professionals. We're constantly having speakers on campus so that you can get exposure to these employers and the different professional organizations. And this is also where we're going to have you do your own electronic portfolio and really begin to document some of the things that you're doing in your program. So I look forward to your questions, and I will pass the mic to the next speaker.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Fortner. I'm with Pacific University in Oregon, and we're a old university up there with a relatively new health professions program. So if you look up Pacific University, Oregon, you'll see these pictures of a lovely little campus with big old oak trees and sprawling lawns, but that's not where the pharmacy school is. So we're located about 20 minutes east, closer to Portland. So we're in an area called Hillsboro, which is a suburb just outside of good old Portlandia, which, as you guys may know, is kind of the home of really good, amazing food and awesome beer and great music. So we're about an hour from the ocean if you want to go out and do some surfing with a wetsuit, and then we're about an hour from the mountains if you feel like doing some snowboarding. So it's a great outdoorsy place to be. As far as the school, we are a 3-year program and an accelerated program. So we'll get you out practicing pharmacy sooner, but you got to be able to be up for the kind of accelerated course of the program. So it is fairly unique in that we use a modified block curriculum, which means we have primary courses happening in 2-week chunks of time. So you'll have a single topic, such as like CNS 1 or cardiovascular 1, and you focus on that topic for 2 weeks. You're in class roughly 6 hours a day for 4 days a week. Don't worry, it's not lecture the whole time because that would drive everyone nuts. But we break it up with a lot of group work. We have a heavy emphasis on teamwork and group work activities that we basically engage in throughout the day. At the end of that 2-week session, you'll have an exam, both individually and with your group, and so on and so forth. In addition to the primary 2-week course, you've got a few longitudinal courses that can occur throughout the year as well. We also have a pass, no pass system, so we don't give letter grades, which is a little different, but the benefit to that is we find it reduces competition among students. So when you guys are doing your group work, there's no real fighting for beating the curve or getting the best grade in class and things like that. So again, we're trying to put an emphasis on that teamwork activity, and we're also part of a College of Health Professions where we have I believe it is 8 other programs in our building with us, ranging from physician assistant and physical therapy, occupational therapy, dental hygiene, psychology, audiology, and a Master's of Healthcare Administration, which we have a joint degree program with as well. So we put a big emphasis on interprofessional work as well. Trying to think other stuff I can tell you all about the school if you have questions, and afterwards I'll be out at the fair. We've got several booths from our College of Health Professions programs, and I'll be there as well. So thank you much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Durham. I'm, let's see. I'm from the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. I was a student there. I was a resident there. I'm faculty there now, and now I'm chair of admissions. So you can ask me lots of questions from every perspective regarding USC. USC is the first PharmD program ever to be established in the country. We're a top 10 school. We're the #1 private school in the country. We're a 4-year Doctor of Pharmacy program, and we look for 4 characteristics in applicants: the dedication to the profession, dedication to serving others, interpersonal skills, leadership, and also scholarship. And by scholarship, we mean not just grades, but also other special things that you've done, like maybe being creative, done research. We're looking for applicants who are well-rounded, mature, people who are able to lead the profession and help to guide change and help to do these wonderful things that we've heard about this morning from our two keynote speakers, if you were able to catch that. Our curriculum is a mixture of lecture, experiential, small group learning, and team-based learning. And one of the amazing strengths of USC is, number one, where we're located. We're located in downtown Los Angeles, sort of East Los Angeles, and we serve a population that is highly underserved and highly diverse. So part of our mission as a school is to improve people's lives, this sort of service component. We send our students out into a wide array of locations to like our safety net clinics all around East Los Angeles. Our university actually owns 3 hospitals. We own 3 pharmacies that are learning sites for our students. And we get you out there early on. All 3 years of the curriculum are heavy with experiential learning and then also concentrated in the 4th year. Let's see what else about the program. I'll be happy to answer any other questions regarding admissions or curriculum. I think we have a bunch of questions that are going to be asked soon that we'll address.
All right, awesome. Okay, so for this first question, we're going to start with Dr. Durham.
Oh.
What are some things that make an applicant stand out?
The things that make you stand out, well, for USC anyway, we look for people who have done something unique, have taken initiative to start something, to create something, to lead others or even lead themselves in some way. People who have life skills, people who are mature, those who have made a difference in others' lives or are in the community. Those types of things really help give you an edge. Maybe you've worked on a research project, maybe you've accomplished something, shared knowledge in some way. I mean, most of the applicants that we receive have done pretty well in school, have gotten pretty good grades, so that's not always something that sets one applicant apart from the other. But what have you personally accomplished or taken the initiative to do or make a difference really helps give one applicant an edge from another.
I would echo everything she just said as well. Things that we kind of look for is really a passion of the knowledge and profession, and essays that let us get to know you as a person. Because to her point, you know, grades are usually pretty good across the board. And the essays is where we really get to learn about you as a pharmacy student. And so anything you can do to kind of personalize those, make them specific. When you're doing your PharmCAS applications, those tend to be a little more broad because you potentially put them out to multiple schools, but a lot of schools have a supplemental application, and we do as well, and that's a good place to focus your information about why you're interested in our school in particular. The other thing we look for is kind of good communication and healthcare experience, which I think was mentioned before by some other folks up here, and strong references from people you've worked with in healthcare and pharmacy in particular. Those are all nice things to make you stand out.
I also would say that we have similar things that we look for at KGI School of Pharmacy, and in particular, as the previous speaker mentioned, when you're completing your supplemental applications, I know when I'm reviewing those, I really like to see that a student has researched KGI, is excited about some aspects specifically of our curriculum. So this is how I feel one of the different concentrations will apply to what I want to do, etc. We use a flipped classroom model for a lot of our courses, which means that basically we're going to send you modules that you review at home and you watch the videos of the lectures. And then when you get in class, you're constantly sitting in your groups. Every single day you sit in your groups. And this is where you're going to be doing activities and other group interactions to really apply your learning. So for that reason, when you get to the interview portion of the process, we do have a group activity. We want to see that you can articulate your own thoughts, but also be respectful of others' opinions. In our interview process, we also have one-on-one interviews with faculty, and being that we are a newer school of pharmacy, we are all extremely pumped about our school. So they really want to see that same level of enthusiasm that you would bring to the interview process.
Okay. Well, before the interview, one way you can set yourself apart is with that supplemental application. Don't make the mistake of just copying your PharmCast essay onto your supplemental essay. A lot of people do that, and it doesn't give you anything. Make that supplemental essay stand out. Tell us why you want to be at our school. It shows that you've researched the school. And so that's one way before the interview that you can stand out. When you get to that interview, we're looking for communication skills and professionalism. As our first speaker pointed out, 1/3 of your curriculum is experiential education. And so in your first year, we need students we can take into a pharmacy and be proud of you in your first year. So at your interview, something that will set you apart is just to display professionalism, act like a pharmacist when you come, and offer us some great communication skills, because you'll be doing that your first year in pharmacy school. Make us proud to take you out into the pharmacy, not take you out.
Really, just to sum up from Auburn's perspective, you know, what I try to tell students is pay attention to the basics. College is fun, you know, enjoy your undergraduate career. Remember why you're here. We're going to make a decision on your future relative to each of our schools based upon paper GPA, paper PCAT, paper application. That's where those written essay skills come into play, as the previous speakers have so noted. And then fourthly, very similar to what has already been alluded to by Marcia, we also have a small group exercise. You're one of 4 students. It's going to be on multiple ethical relationships. Here's what we're interested in. Can you facilitate, communicate, and lead a small group? Can you think and solve problems on your feet in a real-time fashion? Can you appreciate the ethics of the situation relative to patient, professional, and public? And then also, what is your professional awareness, i.e., what could have, should have, would have the professional done or have done in this particular ethical situation? The awkward part of that, either big brother or big sister is grading you via video conferencing, or there's actually someone in there with a matrix grade sheet. So that's very important, this interaction and ability to communicate and work in and through small groups, because one, it plays such a vital role in our educational process at Auburn, and two, we feel that's a lifelong learning skill which will be very important to you in your future as a pharmacist.
Okay, so this next question will be for Ms. Parker. If your school does not require the PCAT, does taking it and doing well straighten your application?
Well, so as you know, Herbert, as you know, our school does not require the PCAT. So, so right now, we're not really looking at the PCAT so much. We are keeping that open for the future. So that being said, the rest of your application really needs to be strong. So I think it can be said that all of us probably use somewhat of a holistic review process. However, I mean, at the end of the day, your grades do count. So your overall GPA, your math and science GPA, your prerequisite GPA, you definitely want to take a look at that. We are one of the schools that will take the higher grade. So if you look at your prerequisite courses and you feel like you can retake a course, I would encourage you to do that. Whenever you get ready to apply to our school, however, we do want to see that you have completed the vast majority of the prerequisites. You can have a couple left, but we don't want to put you in a situation where we invite you to an interview and then we accept you, but you can't get your prereqs done. So I would say that those are some of the things that we look at other than the PCAT.
This next question is for Dr. Durham. When do externships begin?
So at USC, they begin right away, like straight out of the gate. We have a kind of a unique course that the P1s start with. It's called Pharmacy Practice and Experience, and it's an intensive 3-week course where all they do is learn, you know, how to do skills like screenings, blood pressure, blood glucose checks. We do lectures on immunizations. They practice on immunizations, talk about professionalism, and then immediately you're sent out to sites. So after that 3-week intensive sort of training period, then our students complete in their first year both hospital and community introductory pharmacy practice and experiences, and those continue on through second and third year, bridging into the advanced pharmacy practice experiences. And at USC, we're actually currently redesigning our curriculum. There's going to be a new curriculum we're going to launch in 2015 that will be a little bit different than what we've done in the past and is going to be even more clinically oriented and more progressive than what we've done historically.
Okay, this next question will be for Ms. Jones. After reading hundreds of personal statements, what advice would you give to applicants about their writing other than correct grammar and having others revise their papers?
I just would use the word authentic. Make it yours. I don't want to know why someone else wanted to become a pharmacist. I want to know why you wanted to become a pharmacist. Don't write what you think you're supposed to write. Write from your heart. Yes, have someone grammar check it and do all of those things, but make it your story. Let us know what motivates you. And that's my best advice on that.
Okay, this next question is for Dr. Fortner. Is there any financial aid or scholarships for your school?
Yeah, we have need-based scholarships in the form of grants and work study. Of course, there's student loans and such. And there is also some kind of merit-based scholarships that you can get through local pharmacy organizations and things of that nature. So.
Okay, this next question will be for our panelists. If applicable, how important is the PCAT score and the science GPA? Starting with Dr. Woosley.
Oh, okay. So at USC, we do not require the PCAT. However, if you take it, we look at it. We see it. So if you do bad on it, we know. And if you do good on it, we know. So it can help you or hurt you. Currently in California, there's only one school right now who requires it, and they're new. But we'll see what happens in the future if other California schools start jumping on the bandwagon, which is probably what's going to happen. But math and science GPA is extremely important. We factor that in pretty heavily. Your performance on your math science prerequisites is weighted heavily in our admissions process.
We do not currently require the PCAT either. We don't actually consider it currently in the admissions process, but to points made by other folks up here, we kind of are keeping it in mind for the future. Currently, it doesn't help you or hurt you necessarily at our school. As far as GPA is concerned, we look at science GPA, your last 45 credits GPA, and your cumulative GPA, and we have a minimum on all of those of 2.7. A good point was made earlier about if you have a particular class that was graded a little bit lower, maybe you got a C+ or something like that, and then if you can retake it and get an A or a B, that can definitely help you in the admissions process, both from looking at that you've made progress over time, that you kind of were able to self-identify an area that you could strengthen, and you took the initiative to take care of that. So, yeah, I think that's all.
So our school, KGI, we do not require the PCAT. In regards to the math and science GPA, it is important, as are the other GPA calculations that we look at, so your overall GPA as well as your prerequisite GPA. The other thing I want to say about prerequisites is I would definitely encourage you, when you decide which schools you're most interested in, to really look at the prerequisites that specific school requires. So for example, our school, we require anatomy and physiology with the labs, we require microbiology with the labs, we require psychology specifically. And that can really make or break you when you're looking at one school or another, because you can have a great GPA, but if you don't have half the labs that we require, that kind of would make you ineligible. So just take a really long look at the specific requirements of the schools you're interested in.
We do require the PCAT, and we do look at that. It doesn't tell us everything about you, and we know that, but it's measurable. And your GPA, those are numbers. We can make sense of that. Your GPA often reflects your work ethic in the classroom. It tells us how hard you're willing to work for a good grade, and that's important to us. Your PCAT is going to tell us more what you've retained from perhaps the classes that you were enrolled in. If you had a freshman year, you know what I'm talking about. If you had that, know that we're also going to look at your last 4 semesters. We can look past a freshman year if you've had 4 semesters in a row that have been full load, but also that you've done very well in. So don't fret too much if your freshman year is the thing that's pulling your PCAT down. We know there's more to you than your PCAT and your GPA, and so that's why we do the interview, so we can get to know you better.
Again, as I said in my introduction, we do require the PCAT. We tend to look more at the biology and chemistry portions of the PCAT and weigh those two more heavily than we do the other subsections of the PCAT. And as Ms. Jones and Ms. Parker just said, one of the things that we look at very carefully are the prereqs. We require 5 upper-level biology courses. Pay attention. We're going to hold you accountable to those relative to upper-level immunobiology or immunology, biomedical phys, micro, biochemistry, and genetics. So it typically takes students 3 years minimum to get those prereqs. So just because you're getting a degree in biology or biochemistry or chemistry, et cetera, fill in the blank, we really don't care what your degree's in, but we are going to look very carefully at those science requirements. And then, as she mentioned, psychology, we require a liberal arts course in ethics. It could be medical ethics, biomedical ethics, or just plain intro to ethics, but that is one of the liberal arts courses that is mandatory, for admission. In addition to the other comments about the numbers, we take and look a step further at the academic rigor of the institution. So in a school like UC Davis, obviously thought of very highly, we're going to think very highly of that GPA compared to, let's just say, XYZ school that we may know about. Even at Auburn, we will evaluate the professor. That's one of the benefits. We know which professors there are easy, which are mainstream, and which tend to be really difficult, to pull even a C or a B out of their course from that perspective. So those are all elements that we're going to take into consideration aside from just saying what the numbers show us.
This is for all the panelists, starting with Dr. Woosley. What is characteristic of the student population at your school?
Typically, we're looking for leaders. We're looking for students with strong character. What is character? We're looking for citizenship. We're looking for honesty, integrity. We're looking for caring. So that's kind of the makeup of the student mindset there. From our perspective, one of the things that we're known for is the diversity of the students relative to from where they came. We have over 35 different schools in the nation represented in this past year's class, and they comprise a majority of the P1 class there. So you think, well, gee, this school is only going to be made up of undergraduates from Auburn. That's not the case. Certainly we have a large number, but then we get students certainly from the Southeast, but then one of the reasons we're here, we admitted a student from UC Davis last year, University of Washington, William & Mary, University of Michigan. We make a point that we have a very diverse student body, from that perspective, so that students from all over the nation will feel welcome there.
If I could sum up our qualities of our students in 2 words, I'm going to do it in 1, but if I could have 2, I would pick service and community. I believe we're a people of community. We help one another get through pharmacy school. We work together. But let me spend more time talking about service. When our accrediting body comes and they interview students, they say, boy, one word comes out, and that's the word service. It's a desire to use your knowledge, skills, and abilities to help and serve and make a difference in the lives of your patients. That's what we're about. How that's played out in our curriculum is so many times through the experiential education, charitable clinics, medical missions, and then our student organizations. They want to do service projects that are medically related. So if I summed us up in one word, and I'm going to keep it short, it is service.
At KGI, I am so excited about our students. They come from a variety of majors. Some of them, this is actually a second career for them. The average age for our inaugural class, which started this fall, is 28. We have students, about 23% of our students come from out of state. But beyond the numbers, if you were to talk to our students, as I mentioned before, being a newer school of pharmacy, we are just so excited about what's going on in our curriculum. The students seem to have this real sense of shared success. So given that they sit in their groups every single day, and so they do something, some sort of group activity every single day in their classes. So they are extremely tight. You will see them in the parking lot together. You will see them at lunch together. So kind of a shared sense of community is really important. The other thing that our students will tell you in terms of why they chose to attend KGI is because of the culture. We have an extremely engaged faculty and staff. Our dean, as well as the president of our university, are at pretty much every single on-campus admissions event that we host. The president actually wants to have lunch with every single person who interviews for our School of Pharmacy, and he wants to get to know you. It's a smaller school, so people are going to know your name, and they're going to be really invested in your individual success.
At Pacific, we're a relatively newer program. We're in about our sixth or seventh class now at this point, but we've kind of put an emphasis on innovation and collaboration, and I kind of echo the one thing that students tend to like about the school is the culture there. Again, engaged faculty, we're very approachable, and since we are with you so consistently and intensively during the 3-year program, we really get to know everyone really well. It makes it easy for us to get to know you and vice versa. You also get to know your classmates very well, being in class with them as much as you are, and doing all of the teamwork kind of collaboration that we do, both amongst the students in the program and then also the other programs on campus. As far as just numbers, I mean, our average class, our student age is around kind of 27, 28 as well. We tend to pull students primarily from West Coast and Northwest areas. We have a couple of feeder programs from Alaska and Hawaii, if you happen to be from there. Other than that, it's just a very patient-centered, learner-centered environment are kind of some of our goals as far as our mission statement for the school.
So at USC, if I could kind of talk about what it feels like when you get the vibe of the students and the school, it's kind of just exciting, I would say, to be there. Our students that come in are a little younger than some of the programs I've just spoken. Like average age is about 24, 25. California is our primary feeder schools. But the students are just highly driven, highly enthusiastic, and are actually quite inspiring. They have taken over initiatives to do outreach to our community that is kind of astounding. We literally do a health fair every single weekend during the fall, and every single student almost is engaged in these processes, and it's all these student-driven things, the amazing things that we've accomplished for our university. Establishing student-run clinics, they're all just highly involved in our professional organizations. So it's this enthusiastic vibe that we have at USC, and it's a sense of being part of something big and part of something important, I would say. At least That's kind of my perspective as being a student and former resident as well. There is just an enthusiasm about the school. You know, you're part of the Trojan family, you're part of the Trojan network when you graduate, and being located next to huge academic medical centers in LA County, and you just get a sense of being a part of something important and contributing to healthcare and society as a whole. So that's kind of the feel that you get from our students and being part of our school. And we have a larger class size too. We have about 180 students per class.
Before we open up our open forum, I have one last question for Dr. Woosley. Do you have any advice for students who do not get into pharmacy school?
I do. One of the things you need to do is very carefully and specifically, assuming you want to continue to pursue the career of pharmacy, you know, is meet with people like any one of us or various representatives of the school, because we have access and have been given typically permission by the admission committee to share with you what would have made you a stronger applicant had you fill in the blank. Maybe it was GPA, maybe you've graduated, maybe you need to go to a post-bac, you know, program. Maybe it is PCAT, maybe you've got to take the PCAT over, and if so, how to study, or what are the recommended resources that we have seen from students to prepare for that. Maybe it is job shadowing. Maybe you think academically, mentally, that you want to be a pharmacist, but the interviewers did not see the passion. Maybe it is the interview itself. Take advantage of the career service opportunities that schools like this offer and prepare, you know, for that interview. Those are the criteria, because typically, in my case, the committee will turn to me the next year and they will say, Dr. Woosley, did this student meet with you, and did you review with them what we shared relative to making them a stronger applicant, and now what have they done to demonstrate to us that they are worthy of admission this year? What have they done differently?
So at this time, we will be taking any questions from the audience. Yes. I guess the question was, when reading a personal statement or essay, is there anything you guys really enjoy reading about it, or something that really stands out that you guys always love reading about?
Well, I think I would echo some of the comments from earlier about we really enjoy. I personally really enjoy getting to know a applicant through a kind of an authentic, specific story. So a lot of those tend to come through sometimes in the PharmCast application, when it ask why do you want to be in pharmacy, but those can also happen in some of the supplemental essays as well. I would encourage you guys to complete any optional essays if you get the chance, because that gives us an opportunity to get to know you even better. I'm trying to think of a good example, but the ones that tend to stand out in my mind are ones where I get a better sense of who the applicant is and what they're passionate about, what they're interested in, and can really see their enthusiasm for the profession and just for learning in general.
Anyone else would like to care to answer?
Ditto.
That's a good answer.
Any other questions? I guess the question was, if you do not get in, would you prefer a post-bac or a master's?
You know, it could be, those are both good ways to continue your education. But before you consider one of those options, do personal reflection, and especially if you've had advice from the school the year before, do whatever they said. You know, take care of that first. And then, if you want to go on and continue either one, I would say would be equal.
I would agree. I mean, you definitely want to take care of the basics first, so examine your GPA, and in our case, you know, look and see, do you need to retake some prerequisites? We do kind of give you points if you have a graduate degree, so if you're able to pursue a master's degree, in some respects, sometimes that can assist with your maturity and help you develop a little bit, but definitely take a look at the basics first.
I'd echo Charles's point from earlier about talk to the admissions coordinator at whatever school you're applying to, or the admissions representative, and just ask them straight out, what can I do to improve my application for next year? Things like a master's degree, that's not something you're going to finish in under a year, and if you want to apply to pharmacy school the following year, your time may be better spent focusing on whatever recommendations they give you, whether that's maybe you need more experience in healthcare and pharmacy in particular, and so you can start to seek out those opportunities and such. So be very focused in your efforts, so that the most important thing is do what they recommend you to do, because if you don't do that and you apply again next year, they'll look at it and they say, well, we told you to do this, and instead you went this route and did this thing, and that doesn't reflect as well as.
A quick comment to that point. What we're looking for in our case, typically if academics are at the heart of the issue, would be, can you handle at least a 12-hour course load in sciences on a continuous basis? And don't be like a student that I'm thinking of right at this moment, that we told them that in spring and they needed a full year to prepare, and they did early decision over the summer. Well, that's not enough time, so it's going to take time. And then the second part of that answer to you from us is, now we're going to see your dedication. As Dr. Fortner just pointed out, we want to see, are you really committed to this profession such that you did make it, but are you want to pursue, and are you passionate enough about this career that they've told me to do this and you're willing to go back, and complete it? And typically, you need to expect, at least a full year of academic work to demonstrate that.
Dr. Durham, any closing remarks?
On that question, no, I don't have anything to add to that. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, here's one. Starting with Dr. Durham, what is the cost of attending pharmacy school?
Ooh. So at USC, our tuition is about $48,000. Like I said before, we're a private university, and that's per year. And it's pretty consistent with other private schools in California. But when you factor in living expenses and fees and other things, you could probably add another $30,000 on top of that per year.
So at Pacific University in Oregon, we're also a private college. We make no distinction currently for in-state or out-of-state, anything like that. Our tuition is right around $45,000 a year, but it's important to remember, being a 3-year program, we get you out a year earlier, making pharmacist wages a year earlier. So when you tend to factor in that extra year, we come out ahead. Cost of living is pretty reasonable in the Hillsborough area. We've got a lot of great public transit, and there's a light rail train that drops off right in front of the building, and there's tons of affordable housing along the light rail system for people to stay at, and it's a nice little area. So.
At KGI, our tuition is $43,500 per year, which is comparable to other private pharmacy schools in California. We are in about 35 miles east of Los Angeles, as I mentioned, so there is a significant cost of living in the LA area. However, we are the easternmost town in LA County, so we're right next to the IE, known as the Inland Empire. So if you go about 7 miles east, you can get a lot more affordable options. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're considering our school.
At Harding, our tuition is $34,680 per year. And the cost of living in Arkansas is pretty reasonable. You can get in a 2-bedroom apartment in Searcy for in the $400 range. Wow. So I know that's kind of crazy compared to how much you pay here, but anyway, it's very affordable. My advice to you as you take out your student loans to go to pharmacy school is only take out what you need, because they're going to give you more than you probably need. Take out only what you need and live like a student. And then when you finish pharmacy school, live like a student just a little bit longer and pay those loans off as quickly as you can, so you'll be relieved of that burden.
Really, really good advice. And from Auburn's perspective, we're a public university. Out-of-state tuition will be $37,000 a year. We can offset that with an academic scholarship of either $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 per year, based upon, you get tired of hearing this, GPA, PCAT, and interview score is very important.
Is there any other questions from the audience? Yes. I guess the question was, what is the capacity of your school? For the students doing research.
At Harding, we have 3 electives in the curriculum. 2 of those can be where you partner with a faculty member, and you're actually doing research right alongside a faculty member. So that's kind of exciting and very personable for that student. You learn a lot.
At USC, we're a pretty highly intensive research institution at the School of Pharmacy. There's opportunities throughout the curriculum. We do offer research electives, but also as part of our new curriculum, all students are going to be required to complete some kind of scholarly project in which they'll partner with some of our faculty or other members of the community to complete this project and have some kind of scholarly product at the end of it, presented as either a seminar or poster or something like that. So lots and lots of opportunities.
At Pacific University, we've got 7 science faculty, so we're not a huge school, but the current president of the university in the last few years has put a big emphasis on research, and we have a lab space right across the street from the pharmacy school that the science faculty use to pursue their research endeavors, and they partner regularly with students from all years of the program. You can take API rotations in 6-week chunks of time with as an elective with those research faculty, and if you're interested in it beforehand, you can get started with them earlier, and really nice little lab spaces. We've fully outfitted with all the fancy equipment. I get to play around in there once in a while myself as part of my pharmaceutics work that I do, and it's fun playing with toys that cost more than my house. So.
You know, from Auburn's perspective, you know, in addition to collaboration with the other schools and colleges on campus, you know, with pharmaceutical sciences, you'll be able to elaborate with or collaborate with the professors in pharmaceutics, pharmacology, and medicinal chemistry. And then throughout the year, as has already been expressed, you have electives that you can take. But we also encourage students, you know, if you're interested in research, to pursue that with a professor, either as a student assistant or for pay during the summer, as we do not have classes, you know, during the summer during that time.
And at KGI, I would also echo some of the comments that have been made. Definitely partner with a faculty member to identify an area of research that you're interested in. We have faculty doing research on liver disease. We have other faculty doing research on drug delivery. We also have a number of other programs at our institute. So for example, a Master of Bioscience, and a lot of those faculty members are doing research on rare diseases. So definitely just research to see what the different faculty members are doing and how you can partner with them.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. And with that, that concludes our admission panel. Please thank you for all coming, and please thank you for our distinguished panelists for coming out here today.